Hello.
Hi, Lawrence. Can
How are
you
you?
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, good.
Hmm.
Good. Here we are then.
Yeah. Yes. Welcome to the Funhouse.
Well, thank you so much.
Hmm. How are you?
Not bad. A
Yeah.
little tired. I did a reading earlier, let me see, a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
Still a little tired, but good. It was a good reading, good connections, and really sweet lady.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a regular customer or somebody new or?
Yeah, somebody new. She was referred by a client.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And then
So,
you and Michael are doing the fair tomorrow. Is that what's
right.
happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, kind of, kind of exciting, I guess. Exciting days.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Lots, lots going on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good.
Yeah. So here we are, the Psychic Funhouse.
Yes. Yeah. With better connection. I think this
Yeah.
should improve things.
Yeah.
So,
That's good. What did you have to do, or what did you figure out?
well, first I had to find somebody to sacrifice to the Wi-Fi gods. So,
Ah,
but no, I had a conversation with my office neighbor the other day, and I hadn't asked him before, but he's got a pretty powerful computer set up, and I knew he had Wi-Fi, and so I just said, "Hey," and he was like, "Yeah, go ahead." He didn't even want me to pay him or anything, but I
oh,
promised.
nice,
So, yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So, I've got all the bars and everything solid. So,
Yay.
I'm trying not to use it all the time, but it definitely, you can definitely tell the difference between this and the public stuff that I've been borrowing. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes, much improved.
Yeah. So we're being recorded right now,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so when we when we get ready to really do the show, are we rolling out like the intro music, and are we just coming on and going right at it?
You mean like how realistic is this for this
Yeah,
show?
yeah.
Yeah, I had completely forgotten I was going to try to upload the intro. So while we've been talking, I've been looking for it um, in my files to see if I could get it going. But yeah, yeah, I think we'll have room to do that, just like we used to.
Okay.
Um, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then um, I tried something different this time for the YouTube part of the show while I was setting things up for today's show on Riverside. There's a lot of different options that come up on menus, and one was to make the live stream private,
Oh,
which I haven't been doing. It's just been going to my YouTube page, and it's there at the same time. Um, and unfortunately, when I did that, when I go to the YouTube channel, the Psychic Funhouse channel that I have, it just tells me that it's a private video and I can't see it, which is stupid. I don't know why it does that. So, but at least now I know that. I don't think I can undo it. Maybe I can, but
Sure.
My guess is it'll probably be available for me to look at, later. But I'm not sure why, if I'm signed in, it isn't letting me see it because it's private. Private means everybody else, not the owner of the channel. But anyway, so there's, that's happening or not.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, so I thought today we'd just have an actual conversation about spiritual, psychic, and related matters. And you mentioned you had a good reading today, so that was on topic. So that was good. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I know that, we were always fortunate enough to talk about upcoming events, for example, and here in South Orange County, Southern California, there are, a variety of different events from time to time and on various scales. So there is one that's happening actually tomorrow between the hours of 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. And there's a
Hmm.
wide variety of different kinds of practitioners that are there,
Hmm.
various fees for different people. Um, and there are some free lectures that people can attend on a variety of different topics, everything from astrology to, gosh, UFOs and, uh, yeah. And, just a variety of different, like I was saying, variety of different topics. There's a few
Hmm.
other mediums there and tarot card readers and all kinds of interesting people. And my dear friend who's actually been on our show before a couple of times, Amy Clugston, who's an animal communicator, and she's just fantastic. And so she'll be there tomorrow,
Oh,
as
nice.
yeah, as well as Michael Espinosa. So
Aha.
yeah,
The seldom seen but still infamous Mr. Espinosa.
that's right.
Well, thanks for reaching out to him. Sorry that he couldn't make the show this time, but
Yeah,
we'll get him on here, once things are up and rolling.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
well, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like that. Yeah, got that going.
Yeah, that sounded like my raven.
It was your
Yeah,
special bird. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Very good. Well, cool. Um, so what kinds of services do you perform at the fair? Are you doing
Well,
primarily just tarot readings or other
yeah,
readings?
I mean, so like I'm sure I don't know about any of our new listeners, but I'm a psychic and a medium, and you know, bottom line is I read energy fields, and so at the fair tomorrow, I'll be doing tarot card readings as well as more than likely mediumship readings. Let's see, in February, almost all day long, it was mediumship readings, which was unusual.
Mm-hmm. Do you have
Yeah.
a preference? Are you partial to one type of psychic presentation or the other, or they're just really
No,
different?
I enjoy all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I probably I find the mediumship work to be just so fascinating. For example, briefly, the lady that I read this afternoon, she had a relative that was on the other side, And I asked her, did he ever call you Rosie? And she looked at me and I said, because he keeps saying Rosie, Rosie. And she said, no, but he had an infant daughter by the name of Rosie who passed away. And I said, yeah, I said, well, I said, this is like his way of confirming for you, that he's here and he's present.
Hmm.
And, so they do a lot of different things, different ways to communicate. And, I've been doing this for quite some time, but I still find it fascinating. Time to time I still get like chills, and so I just find it to be remarkable.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you get confirmation like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really affirming. Very cool. Well, now that we're a visual as well as an auditory medium, I I just have to ask. I keep getting glimpses of the fabulous looking rings you have on your jewelry. So, are there any interesting stories about any of those? They look really pretty attractive, pretty amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, nothing really. No particular stories, but this is black onyx.
Uh-huh.
This
Okay.
is citron, actually.
I like citron. Yeah.
Yeah, and then smoky quartz crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is moonstone.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I had that one made for myself for celebration of something. I can't remember what
Uh-huh.
it was.
Uh-huh.
But the thing about that particular ring is that when the sun hits it, there's just this amazing blue color that
Hmm.
shines through, and I'm just very partial to that. So,
Nice.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah,
Nice.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Well, what I have to report on my end is I just went into the community college to verify that I'm still, so far as I know, a U.S. citizen and employable. Um, they have a policy now that if I don't teach a class continuously, then I have to keep going in and telling them that I'm still who I say I am. So that's been around for a while, but
Wow.
so I had to dig up my passport, which is still good for a few more years, and bring that in, all that business. But I did that because I'm teaching an herbal class again this spring term, and I've got about last time I checked, I've got about half a dozen students signed up, so hopefully I've got a few more since then. But that's a good beginning.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
yeah, and one of the things I like to do with my students is start things off by letting them pick one of these cards from the
Oh,
herbal
yeah.
tarot deck, and we do a whole pretty fun exercise with them where they pair up, and then each of them tries to guess without any clues at first what the card is that they've picked. The other person, uh, so they pair up and they take their own card and they put it on their forehead so they can't see it. The other person can, and then
Ah,
they start giving them clues if they don't pick up on anything, and then they get eventually to take a look at the card and find out what it is. And if they are interested, they get to adopt that name of the herb as their class name for the rest of the program. So they get to go by that plant, which is pretty fun.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's very interesting. I've never seen that deck
mm.
before. How many cards are in it?
It's a regular tarot deck, so it's the same number of cards.
Really?
Yep, 78.
Wow.
and it was the messages are by Michael Tierra, and then the artist is Candace Canton. I think she goes by Candace
Nice.
Canton Packard now. But
Nice.
yeah, so she did the illustrations. She's also an herbalist in her own right. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got this nice, pleasant back to it. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
morning
Yeah.
glory. And then, so, this is what some of the cards look like. This is a Ten of
Oh,
Swords.
wow. Look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So, yeah, so fun stuff.
Yes, indeed.
So I will relate though that, and I think maybe I told you about this. So I taught this class about 10 years ago for a number of years, and then I moved away from the area and was back and forth between here and California. Really didn't have time to teach it. So I started teaching it again this past summer, 2024, and I'd done the tarot technique with people as an icebreaker. Every class that I taught there before, people liked it, no problem. But then, since we're in a different era, I got several students actually gave me some pushback about it.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah, to the point where they made complaints to the administration, and then they had to communicate that to me, and wanted to know what was going on. People were upset. People dropped the class actually because of it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't tell you this. I must
I
have.
I don't recall.
Oh
Yeah.
well, you must have blocked it out of your memory.
Yeah.
No, so one student in particular, it's a pretty progressive deck, let's just say. And so one of the cards in there that I had forgotten because I hadn't played around with the deck for a while is cannabis. It's a marijuana card.
Right.
And so part of the objection was just that I was bringing tarot in, right? Just there was a base objection to that because that's, bringing in demons and devils and who knows what. So I had some religious people that were objecting to it on that ground. But I wasn't teaching anybody tarot. We weren't sitting down and going, okay, now I'm going to teach you how to do readings, and it was really just more, means to an end kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and so that was the main objection. Then this one person got the marijuana card, and they were not happy with that because marijuana is devil's lettuce.
Devil's weed. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants that. And she went to great lengths to try to be diplomatic about it, as did I, by saying, she understands that it's legal and people use it, but it's not something for her. And I said, well, you don't have to keep this, as your, because I also try to encourage them to go deeper, and if they really feel a connection to the herb, to really adopt it as an ally and to learn about it and to hopefully have it bring something special back to their understanding of the plant, beyond just what I'm teaching them and what they're writing. Because my whole goal with uh, teaching herbs to people is to make connections between them and the plant world and to empower them to be their own healer and to go deeper and to develop their own personal relationship with these plants. Uh, which is something that they will always then carry with them, and above and beyond anything that they learn, from my lectures and activities, things like that. Anyway, so during our conversation after class, I could tell she was really kind of upset by this whole procedure, and um, I said, well, sometimes things show up in our lives that are challenging for a reason or for reasons, and maybe there's something here, for you to learn or consider or grow with or whatever. We don't know. So I would encourage you to maybe wait, because I said if you're not happy with your card, you can go ahead and pick another one. But let's wait until the next class and you can kind of sit with it and see how you feel about it. It's like, oh, I already know I'm not going to like it, and I feel like I'm going to have to drop the class if this is going to be a big part of it, and it just turned into this big hullabaloo. And I'm like, I just, part of me was flabbergasted about, like, it's really not that serious. Like, it's not, I'm not, this isn't a cult, and you're not being, you know, uh, read into, like, the Illuminati or something. It's
Yeah.
just, and it's just a plant. Cannabis is just a plant to any herbalist, like any other plant. It's not anything outrageously special. It's a cool
Yeah.
plant, but anyway, so long story short, I thought we kind of worked things out, and I let her pick another card, which right there, because she wasn't going to go away without doing that, and she seemed to be fine with that card. And then I got an email from her between classes saying that she decided she couldn't take the class; she had to drop it.
Wow.
I know,
Wow.
I know, I know. So
Is she an older lady or?
I guess it depends on your definition of older. Older, my definition is always somebody who's at least, well, it used to be 20 years older. Now it's at least 10 years older than me. But no, she wasn't. I think she was in her 30s, maybe late 30s. But I think it's really interesting. To me, it's fast. It's a sociological uh, uh, insight into how things are changing. I
Mm-hmm.
think in in a way that I find really curious. I don't know exactly what to make of it, but um, I've had people who've identified as Christians in my classes before, and even in that class, there are other Christians who didn't have a problem with the exercise I did. Excuse me, but I've never had that many. Like it was a handful, more than one who were really upset by it. So
Oh,
um, yeah, it's an odd thing. It's interesting.
yeah, that is. That's, you just got to tell you just never know. You just never know. But that's that's wild. That's what that is. That's just it's like wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't make any secret that I'm a shamanic practitioner as well, and that I have a spiritual relationship with these plants, but I don't you know put myself forward as the final authority on any of this, and I certainly don't say that I don't um, want anybody in my classes who has religious views or anything like that. It's quite the opposite. I welcome whoever. Everybody
Sure.
has something to contribute. But I think that message, if you're in a denomination that's very conservative about outside influences, you've already been kind of indoctrinated that anything that doesn't come directly from an approved source is suspect, right?
Yeah.
And then the fear thing comes up, and then you're
You
not going
know,
to get through, no matter what
it,
you.
it's kind of interesting. I've had several occasions over the years. I've been in public at public events, with a little booth doing readings and what have you, and I've been confronted by born again Christian. I guess they're born again Christians. I guess I'm not sure, but by people that identified themselves as Christian and asked me if I didn't understand, you know, what I was doing and and you know, working with the devil and this and that and it's happened quite a few times, quite a few times. And, and I've had to like try to reassure people, just to avoid like having a big scene that, it's like, this has nothing to do with the devil, it has nothing to do with the devil
Yeah.
whatsoever,
Right. Right.
It's like,
Yeah, but see, they know better than you do because they've got devil radar on at all
that's
times.
right.
So you're being ignorant and naive in their eyes, and they're just trying to save you from,
But
damnation.
it's like I mean I get that. I'm a medium. I'm talking to spirits and what have you. But you're teaching a class and you're talking about plants, and it's like I don't know,
Yeah,
it's a little extreme there.
yeah. Well, sometimes it's just the terminology. If I use the word angels instead of allies, sometimes that, you know,
Ah,
gets absorbed a little bit more and
yeah.
is a little bit less of a barrier. But I mean, I don't know if you've heard about this, but just to step in the political box because I think it's related for a minute. There's a whole cadre of spiritual advisors that are surrounding the current uh, holder of the presidency,
Yeah.
and one of the more infamous ones is Paula White. Does
Yeah.
that mean anything to you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently, in the last several days, she's come up with an offering. I think it's time to coincide with Easter in some way. That if you give her, it's never like outright money. It's always a donation, like a
Of course.
love donation or whatever of $1,000. She's gonna give you a special angel that will
Ooh.
take care of everything for you, and you know act like you're heaven concierge when the time comes, or I don't know, something like that. Plus you get a special crystal cross to commemorate the whole event. So yeah, we're missing out.
Seriously.
Every time I see that or I hear about some cult that's grifted people out of millions of dollars, I'm always like, God, there's money to be made. Why why do I have these ethics and standards?
I
Maybe a
know.
little.
I know.
It's terrible.
I know. I know.
Anyway, thought that was pretty funny.
Well, Trump is sold, here I go, stepping a little further into the political mess, but,
Mhm.
he's been selling just about everything, from food to watches.
Bibles, don't forget
Oh,
those.
oh, God, let's not forget.
The Lee
Uh,
Greenwood Bibles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's about as Christian as
yeah,
the toilet paper. So,
yeah,
but what can you say?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty interesting story, though, that you just shared.
Hmm.
Yeah. I hope you don't have to deal with anything like that again for a while.
Well, I had a conversation about it with the administrator of the community college because I thought it was just this one person, and I knew other people had dropped, but you don't always know why. And he said, "Oh no, they had received these complaints, and what was I doing?" And fortunately, he's open-minded enough that at the end of what I described to him as my activity, he said, "Oh yeah, you're an educator. You're giving people an opportunity, and you know." I think what they were trying to do was see if there was kind of, in a sense, some false advertising going on, not by intention, but just that, the blurb about my class uh, was maybe misleading these people in some way. And I say in there that I do cultural and historical traditions about herbs, and I consider tarot to be, a cultural tradition. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I don't even know if I call it something spiritual. Again, it's not a spiritual technique that I'm teaching people per se. But even if I was, that would be okay. And he wasn't against anything like that. He just wanted to make sure that people weren't confused or something. So he pretty much gave me the green light. So the second time I taught the class in the fall after the summer term, brouhaha, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to have a repeat. So we're just going to go ahead and tell people, hey, this is what happened last time. I don't want it to happen again. This is something that offends you or you have a problem with it, please talk to me about it. And there were a couple people in the class who were, kind of using what I would call religious vocabulary when they were talking about herbs, because I asked people about their background and interests and things like that. And so that kind of put up a little partial red flag for me.
Yeah.
And then there's another card in here that's whole grains. It's not really an herb. It's just like, it's got a picture of rice and oats and wheat and all this other stuff. So somebody getting that, I could see where they'd be like, this is kind of not really what I vibe with. And one of the people who seemed to have kind of a religious bent picked that card and they weren't happy, and I could tell they just started to check out, so they didn't come back. She and her friend were checked out. They dropped
It's
the
not interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think in a lot of ways, things like tarot, or art, because I have people do art before the end of the class too. We do a related herbal art project. It really holds up a mirror to yourself a lot. And if you're not ready to expose yourself to that kind of introspection on any level, whether it's spiritual or just knowledge based or
Yeah.
something about yourself, it it becomes kind of a kind of a break, I think, in your understanding, in the sense that you're not able to really reconcile what's being presented or offered to you with whatever's going on within yourself, or what your original agenda might have been when you came to class, right? Because some people, they have a preset agenda, and there's always at least one. My ex, who was a teacher, used to call them gunners. There's always somebody in the class who's like there to gun at you to try to get you to do this or that or get this information. But what does this really mean? Or they start holding up their cell phone and say, well, but this says da da da. Those people I can kind of handle. But
Yeah.
I'm there to transgress a little bit on students and to not make them feel uncomfortable, but present them with something that challenges their assumptions. And if that makes them feel uncomfortable, then I feel like I've done my job, because I don't want them to just, come to class and go to sleep on me. I want them to, wake up and pay attention, so that there's something meaningful they take from
Absolutely.
it. Not just like, I could read a book and learn the same things. But not everybody's up for that. I mean, education, the last few decades has just gotten watered down and dumbed down to the point where, people just kind of want to be entertained, or they want to just be a baby bird in a nest with their beaks open, getting gut stuffed full of things without any critical thinking. And that's not the kind of teacher I've been, and not the classroom experience I want people to have. So
Yeah. It made me think about a woman that had a profound effect on me. And in my very early days of sobriety, when I was starting off, trying to find a way to live free from alcohol and various drugs. And I think I mentioned this at some point, but so I was clean and sober for about a year and a half, something like that, and I decided to go back to school and study to become an alcohol and a drug counselor.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one of the classes that I had, there was this woman, she was a PhD, and her name was Cindy. And so I guess one of the ways to describe her was that she was a very compassionate, brilliant woman who was also what's the word, contrarian?
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so, very much she took me from being, what I used to think I was always open-minded. I didn't really realize how I saw the world so black and white in many, many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And she, some of the first things that she ever told me or taught me in and outside of class was that everything changes. And it was like, what? What?
Mm-hmm.
And so, when a student comes up against an instructor, a professor, or teacher, guru, even well-meaning friend, and if you're not prepared, then yeah, it's very challenging. It's very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can't. A lot of people are not prepared, shall we say, not prepared for those steps.
Mm-hmm.
So, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what was your ultimate take on the contrarian as a teacher?
I I had great love and respect for her,
Mm-hmm.
tremendous love and respect for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also to say that at times I became very frustrated.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It was difficult
Uh-huh.
at different times, but I sure learned a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, something I was thinking of asking you. Well, you were talking about, um, working at the fairs. Was how you came to your psychic awareness. If mediumship was the first, um, kind of entryway that you came to, or if it was tarot, or if there's something else. What
Yeah,
was what was the doorway, and what was the path in terms
yeah,
of
well,
following?
yeah. The doorway was when I was six
Uh
years
huh.
old.
Uh huh.
That was the first time I saw spirit,
Hmm.
uh, and
What was
but
that?
that,
What was that like? What happened?
yeah, it was scary. I didn't
Really?
know what it was, and
Hmm.
um, yeah, it was like it was seeing something otherworldly,
Right.
so, and then I had nobody to talk to about it, so that was the other issue. So, after that, then I would say,
Did you try to talk to somebody about it, and they
yeah, I
weren't going
did.
to
I
hear you?
tried to talk to mom and dad about it, but, it was like, no, you didn't see anything, no,
Uh huh. You're a kid.
that's just a dream,
Yeah.
you're imagining things. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, no. No, not really.
Right.
And so I ended up pretty much just trying to, stuff that experience way down. And until I was a little bit older and preteen, I guess I started looking into, astrology, and then, meditation, and all of those other avenues. And then that pretty much just, opened the door for the mediumship.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So did you start doing mediumship work before you worked with tarot, or was it kind of concurrent? Or
Yes, actually, I think that would be fair to say.
hmm
I did. I did. My very best attempts at, connecting with spirits on the other side in service of others, and yet I realized that, you know what, I need some training.
hmm
I need some training to really improve technique and just understanding, deeper understanding of really what I'm seeing and how to communicate and how to set boundaries and all of the things that go along with it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's been quite the process, really.
So did you work with a variety of different teachers and mentors, or were you self-taught, or was there any one?
No, self-taught for the majority of the time in the early beginning, but yeah, I absolutely positively studied with a variety of different people, and then the mediumship. I studied with after talking to several different people, attempting to study with a couple of people. I finally found one person that, I felt very comfortable with, and, that was Debbie Hamilton. And, I studied with Debbie for, I don't know, 2.5 years, almost three,
Hmm.
maybe.
Hmm.
And it made a world of difference.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's your recommendation for people that might want to, begin exploring uh, their spiritual connections?
Yeah. Find somebody that can teach you how to be professional in this area, in these areas, and somebody that will teach you, about the ethics and about how to deliver messages, with compassion and discernment, and yeah, you know, and also to help you learn the business aspect of it, how to market yourself. There's so many wonderful healers out there, and they don't really know much about the business aspect of it.
Hmm
So, and I'd like to say that I've learned a great deal about how to market myself, and there's I, I'm okay with it, but I could certainly benefit from learning more about how to market myself. So,
Yeah, that's a really good point. You're not going to survive as a professional psychic without, having some business sense along with it. What
yeah.
would you say, maybe just off the top of your head, or like the top three, or three of the top uh, important things to know about um, running a psychic business? What are the things you need to take care of or be aware of?
Oh, yeah. Well, those are really good questions. So networking,
Mm-hmm.
very important. Networking, getting your name out there, getting to know others
Mm-hmm.
that are in the healing, helping, wellness world,
Mm-hmm.
and
Do you find people are pretty receptive to peer-to-peer
yeah,
relationships and support?
yeah. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I do,
Mm-hmm.
I do. That's been my experience,
Mm-hmm.
anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Although you end up finding out pretty soon, how similar you are, or how different you are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so networking, very important. Learning how to getting to know your peers, getting to events, various events that help you, help
Mm-hmm.
promote your brand, and then the other part, is the social media aspect, and learning how to navigate that, and
Mm-hmm.
which is something I am still trying to work on, but I've
Mm-hmm.
gotten a little bit better, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah,
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of promotion slash marketing, networking is really key to
yeah,
getting yourself out there and being, being a known or respected member of the community, and finding your community, you know, finding who you can work with. And I also, I would add to that, who to refer to, because we all have clients that maybe need, you know, to get a second opinion, let's say,
yeah,
maybe would be a really good fit with this other person who has skills that we don't. And
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
it's nice to be able to hand them over to somebody that you trust who's gonna
Without a doubt.
take care of
And
them.
not to mention the fact that, it's the camaraderie that you hope you establish with your peer group or with some of your friends, and
Hmm.
you be able to talk about, some challenging or difficult, cases, experiences, and and I find that it's helpful, ways in which, to continue to learn more,
Hmm.
or to just be of service, be helpful.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I would agree with all that for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so what have you been getting a sense of what the rest of the year is going to be like spiritually, either from your own guides or witnessing other people? Um,
I just, I just have been getting that, the whole year, the rest of the year is just going to be just an elevator up and down, kind of situation. I feel like that we are headed into more turmoil, unfortunately.
hmm.
I hate to say that, but that's, let
What
me put it,
why do
yeah.
you hate to say that?
Oh, well, because
You want to
there's,
give somebody a nice happy hug?
yeah,
Everything's going to be roses.
yeah, but it's like, I spent some time in meditation the other day, and it's like the information that they were giving me was that, the energy, currently, is, angry. It's hot. They said it's
Hmm.
hot and it's angry right now,
Hmm.
and loud. And
Hot, angry, and loud. That's nice.
Yeah. And it's not going to cool down for some time, actually. So it looks like it's going to be um, later in the year, later in the year, you know, maybe towards November, something like that, before things calm down,
Hmm.
settle down. But we're in for still some very big changes. I mean, really, some very big changes.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
What, I know that you work with your own guides.
Hmm.
You have a very special connection with them, and you're always in service to others.
Hmm.
Um, Lawrence, what are you getting?
Well, the this past winter has been a real challenge for me, I think, more than usual. I tend to um, struggle sometimes with mood issues, and wintertime, lessening of the light in the far north doesn't help either.
Sure.
And while it's cozy in my office space, it's also kind of absent of a lot of natural light, so that I think contributes to my tendency to maybe go within a little bit overly much. Um, so I've been really happy to have spring come back and to have this opportunity to connect with some students and things like that, and maybe start doing some gardening again and things like that. What the message I keep coming back to consistently, um, Adrian, is that it's important to resist things that are happening that we don't agree with, on whatever level we feel capable, right? And to let our opinions be known, and or um, what we feel needs to change, or what we feel shouldn't be changed, right? And not be afraid to share that, you know, as much as possible. But I think even more important than that, I guess, is, and this is what I'm, still kind of searching for where my landing place is going to be. But this is at least the philosophy I got, is, I want the majority of my energy to be spent um, promoting things that I love and care about and protecting those,
Yeah.
rather than getting caught up in the destruction and the negativity and the hate, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
and the cruelty, really, that I see. I think it's you know it's like the understanding about, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference, right?
Yes.
And so coming at things with a scalpel rather than a sledgehammer, and realizing that it's so much easier to destroy things. You know, I mean, look at the earthquake that just happened over in
Yeah.
Thailand and Myanmar, right? There was a video of a 20-story apartment building under construction that just came down like that,
Yeah.
which is very scary and humbling, and people were hurt, and I think even killed. Um, and those, my comparison to that is that those, think about how long it took to build that structure up, and how quickly it was just wiped out in seconds. And I think that's what's going on in our country right now. There's a lot of people who are drunk with power and are high on their own supply, and they are willfully blinding themselves to the really you know, terrible, horrible impacts they're creating in people's, everyday lives.
Yeah.
Either because they don't care, or they've convinced themselves that they're, you know, above that, and that these people are beneath even their contempt, and
Mm-hmm.
they're treating, there's an energy in this country that's building up to start othering people to the point where they're not going to see them as human beings anymore. And when that takes hold, uh, really, really dangerous things start happening.
Yes.
So I'm trying to witness that at a minimum and be aware of it, not to turn away from it. One of the books I just finished reading was on the Rwanda genocide,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
which was, really illuminating, and just, I don't think that's what's happening here now, but it certainly could.
Yeah.
The seeds for that kind of destruction and hatred are in every country's soil, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
waiting to germinate under the right conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think, we still have opportunities to act preventatively and to promote, like I said, positive things that we care about, and just being kind, day to day, like,
Yeah.
you know, um,
Yes.
and being that kind of force in the world, rather than, succumbing to despair all the time, or curling up in a ball, just rocking in a corner. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm doing plenty of that too, because it's a coping mechanism. But this is why I'm continuing to teach, because you know, for as much of a cynic as I can be, and give in to pessimism, I wouldn't be teaching if I wasn't an optimist.
That's true.
Wanting to connect these people with something that's propelling them into a really positive future. So,
That's very true. That
you
is
know,
very true. Absolutely.
you can't go into class, or you can't do a reading for somebody and just say, well, cards say this is just a bunch of crap and everything's over. You might as well jump off a cliff. Not gonna have too many repeat customers from that. So,
Right.
I mean, you don't want to pretend that everything's great. But you got to be constructive. You have to give people something to hope and to feel like they can, see the light coming at the end of the tunnel, and it isn't an oncoming bullet train. It's actually,
Yeah. It's very true.
something. You know.
Yeah, very true.
But I just, the suffering that's going on, that's needless. It never ceases to boggle my mind about how much suffering people create just to create it. It's like,
Yeah.
let's try to end this. Can we end this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I think one of the things that is happening currently, I guess, is the elimination not only of various government programs that at least initially were put together to help or protect or fund, rescue rescue operations, sick, hungry children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So watching these programs being potentially eliminated, but the other thing that I just keep hearing about is this. I'm not sure. It seems like there could be some language that would be clear for me to use if I could just wrap my head around it. But the at the Smithsonian Institute, there's basically an attempt to almost like rewrite history. and eliminate contributions by people of color or women, and it's
LGBTQ.
just
Yeah.
I I'm just oh
Yeah. No more Enola Gay, because
yeah, yeah,
it's gay.
that's right,
The plane is gay.
yeah.
Yep.
Can't have that.
No. Makes me feel something I don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's amazing how much projection there is going on. People are like, oh, uh, left-wing people, they're all snowflakes, and fuck your feelings and all that stuff. And it's like, well, you guys are the ones who can't handle the truth. You can't handle the reality. You can't handle the fact that this country is racist to its core,
Yeah,
and always has been, and probably, based on the demographics that we're understanding now and our neighbors, probably always will be.
yeah.
And it's not okay. And then to turn that around and weaponize that, you know, and
I did see something on, I don't know if it was on Threads or one of the social media streaming services, but somebody said, well, if Trump is able to change the Constitution, I believe that's what it was, change the Constitution and be able to serve for a third term, that means Obama could serve for a third term.
right, right.
So
I saw that
that's,
too.
yeah. So God, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, a lot of stuff that's going on is just probes, right? They're probing to see where the weaknesses are and where
Yeah,
people are going to surrender in advance
yeah.
or not hold them accountable. And the only branch of government that's holding them accountable right now is the judicial branch, and that's weakening.
It's weakening. Yeah,
So, I mean, the next biggest test, I think, that's going to be the watershed, even though they've already given away all sorts of power that they shouldn't have for the presidency, will be the court case that's coming up about birthright citizenship. And if somehow the court decides to try to strike that down, even though it's in the Constitution, then we know we've entered a full-blown dictatorship, and it's done. So we'll see.
yeah,
But the good news is we'll be here to witness it and share and give people other options for getting through their day.
yeah. Absolutely, and some tips or strategies on, you know, how to navigate the emotions that come up,
Hmm.
and how to care for yourself.
Right, right. Self-care, very important.
Yeah.
So, in keeping with our program features, before we go, since we've reached the hour limit already, can you believe that? How about you sharing with our hypothetical audience your contact information, how people
Oh,
can.
yeah, great. That's wonderful.
Hmm.
So, people can find me to schedule a private session, either by Zoom or telephone or in person. You can call me at area code 714-376-7289, or look at my website, which is ravenmessages.com.
Nice.
Yeah. And how about you?
Well, you can reach me a few different ways. My number is 541-344-7534. You can email me at givingtree@earthlink.net, and my website is givingtreefarm.com. So there you go. This is the old intro back when I first started.
Hello. Welcome to the Psychic Funhouse. Let's special playtime exploration.
That's great.
So that's the best I can do. All right. Well. Anyway, so that'll be the sign off, and boop, 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 we'll be done.
Okay.
So how was that?
Hey, I think that was wonderful.
Good. Yeah. Well, the best part was no Wi-Fi dropouts.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
So that's resolved. So I don't think we have any real big hurdles anymore at this point.
Yeah.
So, we've got the YouTube channel lined up pretty well, I think. Although not this time because I didn't make it viewable by the public, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So I guess then, a few things to decide. What do we want to do going forward about the show? And then also, do we want to pull the trigger on, actually signing up for the account with Riverside if we like them enough?
Yeah.
Or do we want to wait some more and play around with it, or whatever? Because we could still do a lot even at this free level. So.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, either way, I'm good either way. I'm ready to rock and roll, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, we could probably do a couple more free sessions, maybe have, a guest on, try that again, while it's still free. I can ask, I'm sure you have people, but, I can ask Debbie, Hamilton, or, gosh,
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I'd like to do is find out, what it's like to be an audience member.
oh, yeah.
And if it's going to make sense to direct people here to the Riverside site, or to have them listen to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Watch the YouTube channel. I'm assuming it'd be the YouTube channel, but like we kind of discussed earlier, if we're going to start doing call-ins, once we do decide, if and when we decide to get a professional account, then I'm pretty sure the only way people can call in will be if they know how to find us here on Riverside. But we could also just be happy with interacting with people the way that they do through the chat
Yeah.
link up on YouTube, and just see what that's like for a while. People
Yeah.
can ask us questions and respond there. We can pay attention to that. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with things, with not signing up, maybe like you said, for another couple of weeks, and then maybe having a practice guest on to see what that's like, and then doing the thing you mentioned earlier, which is trying to promote this so we get people listening. But
Yeah.
there are a few more kinks to work out, like the intro and outro, and some sound effects and things like that.
Do you want me to see if I can find somebody for next week, or see if I can find somebody who can listen in?
What I think I'd like would be if maybe a guest in a couple weeks.
Okay.
So that'll give them time to schedule, so it doesn't happen too soon.
Okay.
Or too far away. A couple weeks feels good, just off the top of my head. And
Sure.
then maybe next week, we could each find somebody who'd be willing to listen to our show as an audience person,
Okay.
and bring them in. And then if you find somebody who's willing to be a listener or watcher,
Yeah.
shoot me their email
Okay.
or whatever contact information they feel comfortable sharing, and then I can go ahead and add them through this studio as an audience member.
Okay.
And then
All right. Yeah, I'll do it.
So let's try that.
All right.
At least one. If you get more than one, that's fine too. But let's try to
Okay.
find some guinea pig who's willing to.
Good.
and give us some feedback.
Yeah.
So,
Good. Yay. Yeah, we're like, yeah.
yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Well, I so appreciate you and all of the time that you've taken with this, because I know you're busy. You're very busy, and
very busy.
you know,
Yeah.
done a lot. You've done a lot to get us this far. So I just want you to know I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. It's been a team effort, I think, quite a bit. And, you know, I think we've been good about picking up the thread when the other person has kind of lost it and keeping the continuity going. So,
Yeah.
my real hope is that, we get things ironed out and then Michael just gets to parachute in here and
I know.
take advantage of it, of all of
Yeah.
our hard work and everything. That'd be good.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, I'm excited that things are finally lining up. We persisted and hung in there long enough. I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely got frustrating. It has been frustrating off and on, but
Yeah.
that's what it's like. So not to sprain my shoulder, patting myself on the back, but
Yeah.
I think we've both done a good job of being supportive of each other
Yeah.
and keeping the mission central.
Yeah.
But I think we had a great thing going, so it's easy to want to try to recreate that or keep it in play in whatever way we can. So
Mm-hmm.
I still miss Michael a lot, and I really appreciate that we get to
Oh, I know. I know. I know.
and our
Yeah.
listeners too, even the crazy ones. Well, most of them,
Oh, I know.
maybe not all of them. Mostly.
They were a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll get some audience members for the next show, and then you're going to find somebody for a couple weeks out.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll try talking to Michael this week and see. What did he say? Did he say like anything definite, or he's just kind of non-committal?
Oh,
Or?
he just said, he's really dealing with his mom.
Oh,
His mom's health keeps, it's like up and down. She
Yeah.
goes through periods where she's fine, and then something else happens, and so he's consumed with that, and he said, he said he was very appreciative of, being asked, to join, and he said, not right now, but maybe sometime soon.
Okay. Well, that sounds like kind of what he's been dealing with, so I get it.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, we'll just keep him posted and hope that things stabilize enough he can come back.
Yeah.
At least once in a while. I bet we can convince him to come back on the show about once a month.
Yeah.
Nothing else, and just participate that way. Once he sees how fun it is,
Oh, I know.
so
You'll miss it.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Well, that's good. Thanks for reaching out to him.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of
And
course.
how's your canine crew doing?
Oh, boy, they're good.
Yeah, behaving.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see. Trying to think if Frida has chewed up anything new recently.
You said she got your glasses last time, right?
Yeah, she got my glasses. Did I tell you that I found that I was sitting here at the kitchen table and all of a sudden she jumped up on it?
No.
Yeah, 60-pound dog just suddenly wow, jumped up on the kitchen table while I'm sitting here working on my laptop.
Oh my gosh.
And so I thought about that, and it's like, well, if she could jump up here, then that means she is probably walking on the countertops, and she could possibly even get on top of the refrigerator.
Oh my god.
So, anyhow, I hopefully let her know that that was not a wise option for her any longer. And
Yeah. Hopefully she got the message.
I think she did. I think she did.
You know,
But
I
yeah,
have a uh-huh. I have a
yeah,
good friend. I have a good friend of mine. He and his girlfriend a few years back lost their dog, and they wanted another one, and they uh, found a Belgian Shepherd,
yeah.
and they kind of didn't really know what they were signing up for. But I've seen videos of those dogs like jump 30, 50 feet, you know, horizontally, not to mention 20 feet
Right.
vertically, and they are just like solid muscle.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. So,
Yeah.
if they don't take this dog out at least twice a day, it goes bananas because
Oh, yeah.
it's too much energy.
Yeah, I wonder if she doesn't have a little Malanos in her,
Hmm.
because I have seen her jump straight up,
Oh, really?
straight up in the air. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, oh my God. But but I hope there's enough, German Shepherd in her that, is
Mellow.
calm and
Right.
slow. So
Mhm.
we'll see.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you got a little project there.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe you and Michael can, have a doggy date sometime and get your dogs together.
Oh God,
Have
yeah.
you ever done that? You haven't done that?
No.
Oh,
Uh-uh.
no. Yeah, I don't know how community minded Boppy is.
Yeah, I know. I don't think he is too
He
much.
seems to be like a one person dog.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
all right. Okay. Well, have a lovely weekend. Say hi to Michael for me,
I will
and
do that.
give him
I
a
will
hug
do that.
and maybe a purple nurple if he's not
Yeah.
looking. Twist him up, and we'll have the same thing, only better next week with
Oh,
people to perform in front of. We'll see how that goes.
all right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank
I'll
you,
see you
Adrian.
soon.
All right. You take
Bye.
care.
You
Yep.
too.
Bye bye now.
Bye.